Hello everybody, my name is Elia Locardi, and welcome to Photographing the World 4. Our goal has always been to make Photographing the World into the most comprehensive education series on the market. We travel to some of the most beautiful and exotic locations in the world and teach every aspect of photography.
This series has just blown up. We knew it would be popular because Elia is such an amazing photographer. We knew that landscape and cityscape photography was a very popular genre. But of course, I had no idea that in a few years after the first one, I'd be down here in South America filming Photographing the World 4.
Obviously, in the Western Hemisphere, there's thousands of locations that we could have gone to, but for this tutorial, we focus on the West in North America and Patagonia in South America.
It's interesting that I've been traveling the world full-time for more than 8 years. I've visited 60 countries, and this is the first time that I've actually explored the southwest of my own country, the United States.
Of course, I've heard stories about how beautiful the national parks are in the United States, but actually going there and getting to see it for myself and then filming this project there, it was unbelievable. It may have been some of the most beautiful landscapes I've ever seen in the world.
We've done a lot of stuff together all over the world, so I'm going to take it to the next level, and we are going to create a panoramic image using the shift function and this tilt shift lens. We're going to take it one step further, and instead of just capturing the sunset, I'm also going to capture star trails. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to take a series of shots, shift it down, and then finally shift it up at the sky to capture the stars, and then we're going to put it all together in post-processing.
One thing that's been fun filming this particular Photographing the World series is that we had two completely different climates. In North America, we were there in the spring and we had this desert environment. And here in South America, we've been photographing during the fall, and that's allowed us to capture some really incredible colors.
Patagonia, in one word, is unbelievable. It feels like you're on another planet.
Some of these mountain shapes, I mean, I didn't know anything like that existed in nature. It literally looks like a CGI rendering or something out of a Disney movie. Not only are a lot of these locations just beautiful to photograph, but the hikes into these locations are some of the best hikes I've ever done in my life.
In the previous editions of Photographing the World, I had at least some experience with each one of the locations that we visited. This time, with each location, I'm seeing it for the first time. So I'm gonna have to trust my instincts as a landscape photographer in order to get the best out of each location and find that unique and beautiful shot.
I think scouting locations and then finding the perfect composition is really what distinguishes Elia's work from so many other landscape photographers. So it was really important for us to have Elia scout all of these locations for the first time and show you what works and what doesn't work so that you can better understand how you can get the best compositions no matter where you're at.
We actually arrived here yesterday and started scouting the entire location in the late afternoon and into the sunset hours. Most importantly, I used my app on my iPhone, the Photographer's Ephemeris, to calculate exactly where the sun was going to rise. And I took very careful consideration to make sure that was going to be between Thor's hammer in the foreground and these other elements on the right of the foreground as well.
The weather hasn't been perfect on this trip. In fact, it's probably been the worst weather we've ever had to deal with any of the Photographing the World series, but I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. You know, I don't think everybody wants to watch every lesson and just it goes perfect and you take a snapshot and everything's, you know, 100% the way you imagined it. We're getting up morning after morning and we can't even see the mountains that we're supposed to be shooting. And Elia's having to figure out a way to work through that.
Let's focus on replacing these mountains. So we're gonna need a small area, something right around here should complete all the mountains that we need to adjust. And I think I got all of that. Yep, perfect. So at this point, we can decide if we want this to be inside of the mountain, revealing itself from the mountain, or just fully opaque. So in this case, fully opaque. My favorite and most humbling experience would have to be the wind. My friends have been telling me that you don't experience wind until you experience Patagonian wind. I didn't think wind could really affect me that much, but this wind was out of control. I'm just trying to get this shot of this river leading into the mountains here in Patagonia. But Patagonia is kicking my ass. Usually I'm pretty straight. Cameraman down! Cameraman down! And he fell on the spiky bush. With photography today, the industry is constantly changing and the technology is getting unbelievable. And with this series, we always try to keep things on the cutting edge. So this panoramic image in total is going to have 4 rows of 12 images. Having this level of control over the rotation, stopping at every index point, allows you to shoot each panoramic tile in each panorama the same exact way, which gives you a much better chance for success when you're in stitching and then finally in blending. In this tutorial, I'm excited to be able to cover some complex in-camera techniques like focus stacking and focus bracketing. And here's the thing that makes this shot even more difficult. I'm really close to these rocks, so I have to focus stack 4 steps. Once for the background, once for the salt, once for the middle of the rocks, and once all the way for the foreground here. I have this set to a 2-second timer delay, so when I press the shutter, 2 seconds go by, 5 exposures, and I'm gonna go ahead and go down here to the salt area and do the same thing. In post-processing, we're gonna ramp up the complexity once again and cover advanced luminosity masking. We're also gonna learn how to do everything 100% manually from scratch using Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop, and we're also going to explore some of the best plugins on the market. A midtones luminosity mask is useful for a bunch of different purposes, but right now what I want to use it for is to create a little bit of dynamic contrast. Now, if you're new to luminosity masking, I know this is just a few lessons into Photographing the World 4, but trust me, we're going to be using them a lot. I'll do my best to explain them step by step so that by the end of this tutorial, you have mastered luminosity masking in a manual way. In other words, you will never need a third-party application or plugin to do your luminosity masking for you.
It's always important for us to raise the bar from the last tutorial. And so when it comes to Elia, he's trying to teach new techniques. He's got new camera gear. He's got new lenses. He's trying to teach things that he's never taught before. And then on our end, the production side, we want to make it more fun to watch. We want it to be more beautiful to watch. So we have all new video gear as well. This is the first time that we've shot the entire tutorial in 4K, and that gives us so many more options in editing.
So far, so good. Next step, we're gonna create a few luminosity masks to further adjust to the contrast of this image. But at this point, we've created a few already, and we've done it manually. So this time, what I wanna do is create luminosity masks, but I also wanna turn it into an action so that we can start using the action instead of having to do this from scratch each time.
A lot of people tell us that their favorite part about the Photographing the World series is the behind the scenes series. So we've been filming behind the scenes throughout this entire process, and it does not disappoint. We've had some crazy adventures.
They have foxes out here just hanging out. Oh, no. Naomi stepped in and brought it into the van, and it's like...
It's like the rancid cat pee smell.
He's just staring at you. He's like, yep, I did it.
Almost every single location that we went to, no matter how deep into the forest we went, Elia was recognized by another photographer, and they wanted to know, oh my gosh, are you filming Photographing the World 4? When is it going to come out? Photographing the World is so much more than a tutorial series now. It's really become a community of the world's best landscape photographers. Everyone's working together with either camera techniques, post-processing techniques, and in many cases, they're actually sharing these locations so that everyone knows the best places to shoot.
I'm really happy to say that the Facebook group has become a highly engaged and thriving group of photographers that love to share work and also critique. To connect with other like-minded photographers, or you want to take your work to the next level by having critique by both the community and myself, definitely join that group and start sharing your photography. If you love landscape photography and you're interested in taking your work to the next level, or you've watched previous episodes of Photographing the World and you want to continue your journey with us, you're going to love Photographing the World 4. To learn more about Photographing the World 4 and to instantly download it, head to fstoppers.com/store.